Question 18. This is another local question since it has a new condition, but unlike the last couple of local questions, it's also a complete and accurate list question. If you look at the answer choices, you can see that each of them is a list of items, and we're looking for a list that includes everything the Trents could own in a scenario where they only own one building. But also the list has to have only those buildings that they could own in that circumstance. So all of them and only the ones. Now normally with an if question we would start with a new sketch, but here we can actually do a little bit of work and eliminate some answer choices from previous sketches before sketching. Because this question is asking us to exhaust all possibilities for what the Trents could do, and we've seen them do some stuff before. If we look back at question 17, you can see that it is possible for the Trents to have just one item there. The M or F that is floating around could be with the Williamses. So that means that any list of things that could be the only thing owned by the Trents must include the stables. We've seen the Trents own just the stables. So that means that we can go ahead and eliminate some answer choices right off the bat. The correct answer has to have S, which means that it can't be A, B, or D. It can only be those answer choices that have the stable, which is C and E. And that means in order to tell the difference between answer choice C and E, in order to figure out which one's right, we only need to figure out one more thing about the Trent. Both answers have the stable, but then C has the inn, and E has the forge and the mill. So if we can find out if any one of those three things could be owned by the Trents as the only item they own, that'll determine which answer we're looking at. It doesn't really matter which one you test, just pick one at random to test. I'm going to pick the forge as the one to test here, because the forge is the guy that's the hardest to accommodate. The forge has to stay away from both M and I, so putting him up with the Trents will make it easier to accomplish that. So put down some spaces and put the F into the Trents as their only item. And since it's supposed to be the only item, that does mean that the Williamses will have to have the third item. And since the Trents have F, that means the Yandells have to have I because of Rule 3. And then everyone else is going to have to go to the Williamses, which would be S, M, and G. And if we check the other rules, there's no problem with that. The Williamses can have all three things, but it looks like the forge is acceptable. It's something that could be on the list of things that are the only thing owned by the Trents. That means it is our answer, and we can move on.